Hello, my name is Wally Latona. I am a student at Trinity Christian College, cohort 72. I am right now taking education psychology, and Miss Nofa Halim, who was a Spanish teacher for the CPS for the last 30 years, has agreed to answer these questions that I had about education. So, Miss Halim, thank you. Uh,
Thank
what,
you for having me.
all right, so, what made you want to become a teacher?
I always liked being with kids, and I like the word languages. When I learned my English as a second language, I liked my English teacher, and I thought I can be like her. Well, she motivated me, and it was my dream, liking to teach a word language and also wanting to be with kids. I like being with children.
All right. Would you be able to describe what your classroom management style was like?
I had Spanish 1, Spanish 2 for high school classes for 9 through 12th grades. And for the last 2 years, we've been incorporating the TPRS, teaching the whole language for students. We in the as a word language teacher for Spanish 1, Spanish 2. There were teams of teachers organizing, planning, doing syllabus and lesson plans. And for the classroom, we incorporated novels in the first level. As far as the management, the class started out with Bill Ringer. The objectives were posted on the board. The first 5 minutes, students were to work on their bill ringers. They could use their notes to answer a question or two questions. While I was taking the attendance is supposed to be submitted through the internet. After the students worked on their bill ringer, I started by reviewing the lesson before previous lesson, collecting homework, and then we would introduce. There's always an activity for the lesson. There's a speaking component. Every day students have to speak for 5 minutes in the word language class. Reading, if we had, there was a reading, there was a novel, a chapter. Review on facts. We incorporated the cultural aspects, the community, the communication, the reading and writing. So there were different groups of students. As far as the students know their routine, the daily routine. The first 5 minutes they worked on the Billinger, they turned in their homework. The next 10 minutes, each class period was 45 minutes, reviewing the concepts taught the day before. Then there was a student activity, either cooperative learning, students worked in groups of four, sometimes a peer activity. There was always a group activity. And towards the end, students had to do an exit activity, an exit summarizing what they learned from the lesson. And then I spent the last 5 minutes of the classroom explaining their homework, what they have to do for homework. Usually there was an oral quiz on every day. First 5 minutes, the beginner was either a quiz, test the students on what they learned. The assessment were given on Fridays for the lesson, for the unit lesson, for the chapter lesson. There was always an assessment of multiple choice questions or written questions they have to write. And sometimes students have to do portfolios of projects that were assigned to them in advance.
Okay, very good. What? How did you used to? So we talked about, the procedure, the classroom management, the attendance, and then the exit activity. What was another way that you would engage your student to be interested in the world language, specifically the Spanish language and the Spanish culture?
The students were always motivated. That was one interesting thing about teaching a word language. There was the students were motivated. They wanted to speak. I did challenge them. There was always a conversation part. They would follow models of a conversation, and then they were assigned to write a conversation. So that's how I got the students to be engaged in producing the language. Uh, they were creative enough to write dialects, write scripts, scenarios of, let's say, customer and client in a store, a teacher-student role in the classroom. The role playing, that one part that students like working a lot, producing in the classroom. They like the cooperative learning, the peer activity. That was very motivational for them, for the students.
Okay, and then did you used to have students with disabilities? And if you did, how did you plan lessons to accommodate their disabilities?
Yeah, for the learning disability students with learning disabilities, we were always given as teachers their IEBs, their individualized instruction plan. I had to look at each student's IEB and see what skills I can work with the students. Planning and organizing group activities, peer activities, cooperative learning. Each students with these projects, these assignments, each students had an assignment to do, a role for their project. So, for example, students whose strength was in speaking, good memory. Okay, that was his strength with the learning disability. I always had him speak, repeat. Students who had difficulties writing, expressing their ideas in words. I had them make drawings. I had them make skits. You make PowerPoint presentation. The students were able to present assignments based on their abilities. Okay, we also had to, as teachers, the word language teacher, we modified the lessons for them based on their abilities. Their assessment was also modified, okay, to meet each student's learning needs.
Okay, and then did you ever have ELL students?
Yeah, we had ELL students. In the word language class, there was a section where I have to put the ELL students, the Spanish speakers, to work in advance. Since this was a Spanish class, I had them read advanced lessons. They had the novels. For example, instead of having the first level, I gave them novels in the native language, and there was a special part for where I gave them assessments and special assignments. If I had 4 or 5 in the classroom, then the students worked in that group, the Spanish speakers, the native speakers, and they were given tests, assignments in the Spanish language, using the native language, advanced level.
Okay. Well, Miss Halim, I just wanted to thank you for the time that you've given me. These were very helpful answers, and I will continue to speak with you in the future on other issues related to education. Thank you.
Thank you.